Hey, happy Sunday. Well, let's see. Hope this is. Hope we find everyone doing well this morning. Happy Sunday to you. I know here in north central Texas, well, we got a little rain. We got a little cold front coming through. Welcome to Texas. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It'll change. Of course, having grown up in south central Texas, it was even worse. Yeah. Well, hope everybody's doing well. Looks like we got a couple out there this morning. Good morning, Clint. Good morning, Debbie. Or, well, good afternoon, Debbie, and good morning, Clint. So, what is our topic? Well, I kind of, every once in a while, you have one of those topics that you do on occasion, and you kind of wonder about it because it is a topic that needs to be done for the newcomers that's coming in and researching the pagan philosophy. And it's kind of goes the same um, for the older generation that are kind of disheartened with mainstream society's philosophies and ideologies, right? So it kind of comes down to trying to choose something and stick with it. So our topic this morning is blending of the religious beliefs, and this is something that morning Dave. This is something that has happened. Um, I mean, let's think about as far back as Mesopotamia. Let's come forward just a little bit to Egypt. When the Mesopotamian people started branching out, started getting into Egypt and what have you, even Babylonian. Well, as people start to populate the earth, they begin to involve themselves with other indigenous folk throughout, just like when the Spaniards went after so many of the ancient Indian tribes. And then, of course, the English decided they wanted to take over the Americas. And the English decided the Americas needed to be Catholic or Protestant or whatever, and completely wash away the Native American belief system. So when a particular population takes over a particular area, the indigenous beliefs, the original beliefs, the religious philosophies of the group or the population of the area tend to kind of be washed away. They tend to kind of be washed away from those with the strongest population and those with the strongest personalities to take over that religious area. And yeah, Debbie, that's kind of what I was talking about. The Spaniards that came in and took over quite a few of the populations, the indigenous, the Indian populations, um, they just went in like gangbusters, man. If you didn't believe the way they told you you needed to believe, then you were dead. That was just the way it is. But of course, when the Spaniards invaded the, oh my God, I didn't think I'd ever forget the name of these people. Come on, somebody help me out. Um, I hate it when my brain does that. The clock. It ended December 21st, 2012. What was the name of that population? Mayans, Aztecs, both. Mayans and Aztecs. Thank you very much. When the Spaniards took over and they decided to visit, if you will, the Mayans and the Aztecs, just the visitation of these people wiped out two-thirds of the population. Why? Because they brought over smallpox. They brought over the cold that these people had never dealt with, wiped out most of their population. So I mean, the blending of religious beliefs has always been there. It'll always be. The original religions of the original population of the different tribes throughout the planet are long since gone. Now, I have had this debate, argument, whatever you want to call it, with multiple leaders of multiple groups, in that they want to they want to tell someone they are the original belief. They follow only the ancient beliefs of the ancestors. Bullshit. 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 So, if I hate to tell you folks, but if you truly actually followed the ancient beliefs of the ancestors, like I've said before, we damn sure wouldn't have air conditioned electronics. Um, we would all still be living in thatch huts and caves. Yeah, so there you go. But I think one of the biggest things that, one of the biggest points behind the reason I keep up on this topic is because I tend to teach by definition. Okay, when when I make a statement such as when I make a statement such as you cannot be a Christian pagan, you cannot be a pagan Christian, I come at that by definition. Not because I think I'm any better or because I think I have any control over you or your philosophy. It's not my job, it's not my responsibility, and quite frankly, I could give a shit. Well, that's not true. I do care. But when people want me to teach them, and I come at it with the philosophy of you really need to make a choice. If you're going to be pagan, be pagan. If you're going to be Christian, be Christian. If you're going to be Jewish, Muslim, atheist, whatever. Whatever you're going to be that thing that you say you're going to be. Looks like Dave wanted to holler at us this morning. Dave trying to get our attention. Ha! Oops, sorry, all caps. Not that I've ever done that. As I check and make sure my caps lock is not on. So, what's the big deal about definitions? Well, as a global society, right? So much of the time when we are speaking to someone of another nation, I know that Debbie and I have known each other almost 20 years now, and we still periodically use terms that the other one will say. What does that mean? What is that? What is the meaning of that word in your country? Because that's like one of the biggest giggles she ever had at me. Is one of my favorite saying is poof, I'm gone. Right? Like, poof, out of here. Bye. So first time I said that, I said it's time for me to poof. I have to go cut the grass. She still gets a giggle out of that on occasion. And that's because poof does not mean disappearing in the UK. I will let her tell you exactly what it means, because I don't remember the exact meaning of it, to be honest with you, but I assure you it is not disappearing. Whew, new batteries. So what's the big deal for definitions? Why do we have to have definitions of words anyway? Why can't everybody just use words or phrases and not have a justifiable definition? Not a term for the family audience, Debbie says. Yeah, she's absolutely right there. You guys can, if you actually want to know what it means, you could probably message her and she'd be glad to give you a giggle. But anyway, could you imagine, think just for a moment, if we were a society, a global society, and I'm not talking about America or Britain or just Japan or just South Korea, North Korea, whatever. But if we were a global society, which we are, with zero definitions, with zero understanding of zero definitions, the human language would be so screwed up it wouldn't even be funny. Now, granted, if we get down to semantics, right? Semantics is the same word that may mean different things, or using the same word with different in different areas with different meanings. I am definitely not an English expert by any means. However, if we take religious terms, religious names, right, and we take the word Christian, well, if you look that up, the general consensus is that Christians believe in Christ. They believe in a single God. They believe Jesus died for their sins. They believe that God threw Jesus on earth to die for their sins. They believe in sin. They believe in heaven and hell. Right? So there's one God. That God is a male because they refer to God as him, never her. So let's think about the pagan definition. And if you look at the modern definition of pagan, it says anything but Christian. Actually, no, that is not correct. The actual meaning of pagan now, here in 2018, is any um, polytheist that believes in the possibility of more than one god and our goddess, or a whole bunch of them, right? Simplistically put. And then if you have the definition of Muslim. Muslim has a single deity, right? And believe it or not, Muslims call that single deity God. They're not Christian because they don't follow a Christ. They don't believe that a God sent their son down to be crucified for their sins. And essentially the same thing with Jewish. The Jewish people are really, truly one of your few true monotheistic belief systems. Jews have one God, only one God, no saints, no other deities, no sainthood after it, no mother of Jesus that they pray to. It's a single God, one God, only God, and it's the only God, and that God is male. But I continually see, I continually see where people want to um, blend, intermingle these religions, these um, different faiths. And okay, that's fine. But if you're going to be in the pagan community, we tend to take people more seriously that are more solid in what they're learning, more solid in where they're going. So even though a lot of us, I was raised in a Christian home, a lot of us out there were raised in Christian homes of one kind or another. So some of my morals did come over to the pagan philosophy. But as I began to learn more about the pagan foundations and the actual ancient pagan morals, if you will, I begin to leave more and more of my Christian philosophies behind. Now we're not going to get into the debate of what's better as far as morals go. I'm not even fixing to try to get into the debate of morality, of what lifestyles are right and what lifestyles are wrong, and what's right for me may not be right for you. But the whole topic for the conversation is essentially make a choice, right? Life is full of choices. And I've had people ask me, well, why do I have to make a choice with my belief system? You don't really. I mean, there is a religion called agnostic. The agnostics agree that something is out there, that there is some spiritual thing somewhere, but it gives them the ability not to have to make a choice, not to have to make a decision, not to have to make a decision about what it is they believe in. Now, me, pardon me, I gotta blow my nose. Sorry about that. Me personally, I need I need guidelines. I like to have I like to have a certain road to follow, if you will. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean that I don't like flying off into the beaten path or the unbeaten path, if you will, and going down areas where people have not gone, going down areas I haven't gone. That's the reason I'm perfectly fine going to any religious gathering, any religious meeting to learn more. Not to go to judge them, but to learn more about what they're about. I'm all about that. But I promise you, when I walk out that door, my spirituality, my belief is not shaken. In fact, most of the time it's even more rock solid. Because, yeah. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on blending religious beliefs? I'd like to sit back and watch the text, the chat area blow up with what your thoughts are about blending religious beliefs. I'd like to see your 2 cents. Right? Have at it. Yep. All right. Debbie says humans have fundamental need for labels. Yep. Dave says people can teach us what not to be. Gnostic and modern Christianity do not blend. Well, that depends. Um, I've actually seen Gnostic Christians that that though they're not actually uh, Christians, they are not non-Christian either. Their thought system is that, well, there might have been a God that sent down his son for crucifixion for sins, but they're not. The thing about agnostic, and don't confuse Gnostic with agnostic. I understand there is a difference. I'd have to Google it because I don't remember the split of that atom. But I can tell you that I have seen and met many agnostic people through the years, and every one of them have one thing in common. And that is they don't want to make a decision. They don't want to make a choice. They don't want to have to make a choice of um, one religion or another. They just kind of want to breeze through life just believing something's out there. Okay. Debbie says not an easy thing to discuss in short statements. I get it. Yeah, I understand. Clint says mine is live with the shaman. Watch and learn all the time. Let's see. Dave says Gnostics were mystical. Okay. Like I say, I'll have to go back and research that later. Dave says, but to make a religion out of someone who hated religion, makes him SMH. Never did understand what SMH stands for, but okay, whatever. Well, back to definitions, okay? Back to definition. What makes something a religion? If it has a deity structure, simplistically, now I'm going to keep this really, really, really simple. All right? Simplistically speaking, if a thought process, a lifestyle, has a deity or deity structure, that makes it a religion. Now that's by bare definition. Oh, shakes my head. SMH. Shakes my head. Okay, I like that. Now when people use SMH, I know they're sitting there going, damn, I need to not do that. That makes an old guy dizzy. But anyway, so let's fire up a little more debationary ideology, if you will. What about, you always see people wanting to be a witch shaman, a witch druid, a druid witch. You always see people, wanting to blend paths. And I get my head taken off when I disagree with that. Alright, so let's go the flip side. I don't believe in the devil, but I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a minute. What about a Baptist Catholic? Yeah. If we can have a witch druid, why not a Baptist Catholic? How about a Pentecostal, what's the other one? How about a Pentecostal Baptist? Come on. Come on. Let me see them. Light them up. All right. I see Dave's point. I get it. I agree. Like I've always said, I can't teach you how to become a shaman, but I can teach you how to deal with your journey as a shaman. no more than I can teach someone how to be a witch. And I damn sure can't teach you about your witch journey or your journey as a witch. Debbie says having trouble typing due to the attack of the giggles. I understand. No, not happening. Too confusing. Yes. Well, if we can have a shaman witch, and we can have a witch druid, and we can have a druid fae, and we can have, yeah, and we can have, I love this one, a druidic Wiccan, or a Wiccan druid. I mean, if we can have all these things, you have no idea how many times I've had my head taken off because I've said you cannot be a shaman witch. You can be a witch healer. I'll put that in there, and I'll say it again. You can be a witch healer, but you're not going to be a shaman witch. Okay, well, everybody wants to take my head off for that. Then let's jump out and tell Baptists that they can be Catholics too. Let's tell Catholics that they can be Pentecostal. Yeah, go ahead. I dare you. Have at it. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. If we can have shaman witches, then we can have Baptist Catholics. Ding! Yeah, get on with it. As I hiss in your ear and blow vape in your face. Well, come on. Morning, Jamie. Well, Dave, you're right. I mean, people can be a wannabe anything. I mean, anybody can be a wannabe anything. But what we're talking about is oranges and apples. Well, they both grow on trees, but and they're both kind of round, but anything outside of that, they're different. Vapors in my face. Yes. Jamie, Wiccan Druids. Yes. I'm being sarcastic, he says. Good morning, sweetheart, she says. Oh, I probably shouldn't have read that. I want to be as I want to be, all the same. Yes, absolutely. So, if we're going to jump up and we're going to say, okay, well, we can be a Wiccan Druid, we can be a Shaman Witch, we can be, okay, well, I guess if a human being wants to make themselves a puppy dog, then poof, I'm a puppy dog. No smart ass comments. Yeah. So, a lot of open pagan church is I like to have fun. Anybody that knows me knows I like to have fun with these topics. Some of them are a hell of a lot more serious than others. This one I've always found very serious. It's always been one of those burrs in my saddle blanket, if you will, that rubs me raw. And that is, here's a question for you. And it's a very open-ended question, but why are more people afraid of making decisions, dedications to something? I mean, I get it. I guess some people just want to be everything. I'm a witch, I'm a druid, I'm a shaman, I'm a Christian, I'm a pagan, I'm a Muslim, I'm an atheist, uh, um, I'm a whatever else word they can spout out of their mouth because, um, and some people have always found it interesting because, and this is just some people, right? But have you ever talked to anybody that really actually sounds like, oh, they're talking like this, oh, I really can't understand what they're saying, because everything they say is kind of muffled, and you just really can't understand what they're saying. You know why that is? I'm not going to make any friends with this statement. I can tell you. You know why that is? Because a lot of people are talking out their ass because their mouth knows better, and everything they're saying is muddled and muffled. And for you newcomers that think that the more seasoned generational teachers is not going to look at you when you say, well, I am a pagan Christian. If you think those seasoned practitioners are not going to look at you and kind of go, okay, whatever, and or if they're like me, they're going to go, how? How can you be oil and water? How can you be oil and water at the same time? Just a question for you guys out there that watch Open Pagan Church and you're, considering either converting to paganism or just simply curious and wanting to know what it's about. Right. Trappings. Trapping symbols, gods and goddesses are not interchangeable. You're absolutely right. However, in retrospect, all right, we spent the first half hour going, you really can't do that because by definition, and we're talking about definition here, we're not talking about philosophies or ideologies. But let's take a little step back in history, shall we? Can anybody tell me where the Christian God Jehovah, or Yahweh, depending on how you pronounce it, where he came from, where he originated, and what God he was to begin with? Anybody want to go there? I'll let you guys look that up while I continue to talk. The Christian philosophy was built on the bones of pagan ideology. Christianity is the main global religion that was built on the backs of all other religions. I mean, you think about it. The laws of most of the Christian canons now, and if you don't know what a canon is, look it up. But the laws of most Christian canons now, and hence past, were decided and voted on by the councils of Nicaea. And if you don't know what the councils of Nicaea are, I'll let you look them up. RA? What the hell is RA? Yahweh, Jehovah, was the god of war of Mesopotamia. And if I'm not mistaken, Babylonia as well. Yahweh, Jehovah, it's there's different pronunciations, but the essential spelling is the same if I remember correctly. That the Christian single God was, R-A, Ra. Okay, I get it. Sorry. Um, Amun Ra, the sun god, no. Um, Imhotep, Imhotep the Fourth changed his name to Amun Ra when he decided to convert Egyptianic philosophies and Egyptianic religions to the single sun god. Now the idea came from, I think it was King David. I think, if I remember correctly. Sorry, my memory's got a bit of a burp there. But you guys need to research this, where it all came from, because and please understand me, my Christian friends that like to watch our pagan church on occasion. I'm not destroying or damning Christianity. All I'm speaking here is a simple truth and acknowledgement and understanding that every Christian holiday out there came from a pagan holiday. The Christian God came from a pagan God. A lot of the Christian ideologies and beliefs came from manipulation of other religious beliefs. Christianity, Christianity by age, is a very young religion, comparatively speaking. Get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, I am not anti-Christian. Okay, I just happen to I just happen to say it as it is, and it's not hard to research. It really isn't. However, by their own definition, and I say that again, by their own definition, Christianity is a singularity belief in a monotheistic idealism, thereby one God. Paganism embraces all forms of polytheism, right? And if you really want to piss somebody off when they call you a devil worshiper, I love doing this. When they call you a devil worshiper, I say, I'm sorry, I can't be a devil worshiper. Number one, pagans don't believe in the devil. And number two, devil worshiping, Satanism, and Luciferian are Christian based ideologies that came from Christian beliefs. So, there you go. Concepts that become the yeah. And if you guys want to know what I'm reading, read the chat line over there. It's kind of lit up at the moment. I'm really liking it. The more conversation we have, believe it or not, the more morning, Cindy. The more conversation we have, the more people learn when they come to our channel. Now, I will tell you, and I want to put this disclaimer out there real quick. Open Pagan Church is not the know-all end-all, right? We come up with these topics, we discuss these topics, and it entices people to go out and research and learn. Don't take answers from the very first web page you go to listed at the top of Google. That is more than likely just an advert to get you to buy a prescription to their particular page. Actually scroll down and research what people have said about the councils of Nicaea, what people have said about where Jehovah or Yahweh comes from. Yes, Dave, you are correct, but you will not get them to admit that for anything. Also, you will not find that agreed upon definition in any book anywhere, though I agree with you. Dave says Christians actually have two gods, the God and the devil. I agree. However, like I say, you will not find that anywhere. Dave said if people want to meet the mirror or meet the devil, they need to look in the mirror. Well, that may be true. I don't believe in the devil, so um, I have found my biggest enemy in the mirror. You know, one of the things I found real early on in my learning and studying of pagan philosophy is my biggest enemy is what stares back at me in the mirror. And it's really kind of funny because as I sit here on Open Pagan Church and then at 11 o'clock on Live with the Shaman, I find that when I do these live videos, I am looking back at myself in the mirror because I'm looking back at myself in the camera. So theoretically, I'm sitting here talking to myself. Kind of makes one wonder, I guess, doesn't it? Right, anyway, onward. So this is why I like people to chat, because it gives us a discussable conversation, and I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. I don't like talking to myself, although I like the answers I give myself because then I know I'm right. So there you go. Yeah. By the way, vape more, smoke less. So, what do we think? Should we? And see, this is kind of something that is a personal belief. Okay, this may not actually reflect the pagan philosophy, but this is a personal belief. I believe that we should be teaching children to educate themselves, to love their own spirit, to love themselves, and to love learning. And I believe we should teach our children that learning doesn't always come from books. It comes from getting out and meeting people and learning what people are about. Now, like I say, this is my own personal belief. This is the way we are raising our daughter, is to learn people, the way they live, their ideologies, their philosophies, their lifestyles, learn about people, their beliefs, their religions, the idiosyncrasies, if you will, of those religions. And I have always told her, if you decide to go Christian, that's fine, but you're going to be a Christian. You're going to be someone that follows the canon of whichever church you belong to, and you're not going to be this wishy-washy crap, right? Christian one day, atheist the next, or Christian one day, pagan the next, or blah de blah de blah. You're going to be who you say you are while understanding, embracing, and accepting the other religions of the world. And the same way with pagan. I have told her from day one, I don't want you to be pagan because I am pagan. I want you to be pagan because it's who you are or who you have become. Education, education, education. Let's see. Took the Council of Nicaea 600 years to hammer things out. Yeah, absolutely. 7 days, evolution, creation. Boy, that's a topic for another discussion, isn't it? That wasn't until 325 AD, true enough. So here's one of the things that we're going to find highly interesting. I notice that people are already out there researching the Council of Nicaea, and that's good. Now let's think about something. The first Council of Nicaea, I think, didn't start until, like Jamie said, 300 AD. 300 AD. AD stands for after death of Christ. Ding! So, I'll answer that question in a minute. AD. So the Councils of Nicaea was actually formed in AD. And what makes them right? Anybody know? I don't. Boy, they do. That was the formation of the Catholic Church when the Romans decided that the conversion from the ancient pagan gods over to the new Christian gods would be the way to go. And if you did not like their Christian conversion, they would just simply kill you and get it over with. Right? Well, see, that's one of the things that we talked about last week in blind faith. That was one of the things I wanted to lead up to this topic, right? Um, so the conversation of blind faith last week actually led us up to this topic of the blending of religions. Now, I want to kind of wind this down a little bit, right? Because we're 20 minutes past the hour. And having given you guys something to think about, I'll look forward to further posts on this topic. By all means, keep it going. Just because I've signed off and I've gone out to get ready for live with the Shaman at 11 a.m. Central doesn't mean this topic has to die. By all means, keep it going. Absolutely. But let's say this. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, if you don't know what our links are on Facebook, they are posted in the chat here on the Facebook side, and they'll be copied and pasted into the description of the YouTube archive. I've been asked why we don't do live stream YouTube at the same time that we do live stream Facebook. Number one, my poor internet service provider would hang itself if I tried to do that much bandwidth on upstream video. Number two, it would require me to run two different instances of OBS software. And though it's doable in Linux, it's not really doable in Windows, but it is doable in Linux because I've tried it. It would tax my poor old computer a lot more than what my poor old computer is capable of handling. And then you have me who would have to watch two different chats at one time. It just really wouldn't play out well. I can multitask, but I can't multitask that good. Anyway, so in closing, there has always been, and there will always be, a blending of religious beliefs. The Christians took from the pagans and formed a global religion that somehow, some way, became one of the strongest religions there is on the planet. Paganism is coming back. Paganism is on the rise again because people are sick and tired of the fundamental ideological philosophies of the mainstream religions, if you will, right? So blending of religions will always be, but I do ask you guys to remember one thing. True religion is about making a choice, sticking with that choice while learning as much as you can on the outside. Learn as much as you can. Be educated by all means, but also walk the talk, right? If you're going to say you are, then be who you are. Be who and what you are. Well, as always, thank you for watching. I really hope you have a good day and a good week. Yeah, thank you for watching. We will see you next week here on Open Pagan Church with another mind-twisting topic.